Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things polling analysis and elections in the United States. And today we're going to be looking at the latest individual battleground poll in all of these toss-up states. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And just a disclaimer, this is not my official prediction, but merely what the latest individual poll from 538 currently displays. So this is not a prediction, but merely a more informative video, so you don't have to go on 538 yourself, and you can get some context on what the latest individual polls mean. So we're going to be starting out from east to west, starting out with Maine at large. This is the first poll that we're going to be looking at, and we see the latest poll is actually a Harris plus 17 poll. Now, this sample is very, very Democrat leaning, way too many Democrats, way too little independents. The electorate in Maine is nearly 50% independent. It was probably no more than 35%, and the Democrats were heavily oversampled. And so when you plug this in, it's going to be safe, but when you reweigh that poll, it is a lean margin for Kamala Harris. That's what we found based off of reweighing that poll, but for the sake of the video, we are going to have to leave it in the safe Democrat column. Looking at the state of New Hampshire, again, this is another state where people don't realize it's going to be a pure battleground. Yes, Trump is trailing in the average by 6.8%. But when you look at a lot of this polling data, a lot of the electorates, again, are being very overskewed Democrat, very little independents. You can see a likely voter screen from September 11th to the 12th does have the state as an 8-point victory for Kamala Harris. It is a very narrow race in terms of the reweighted polling. When we reweigh the most recent polls from the state, it actually ends up being a 0.2 percentage point win for Kamala Harris when we reweigh to an R plus 10 electorate in New Hampshire. Last cycle was R plus 9. But for the sake of the video, we are going to have to leave this in the likely column. Looking at the state of New Jersey, I believe we don't have any polling with Trump versus Kamala, but the latest poll between Biden and Trump, that was not an internal, which was this coefficient poll here. It was an Emerson College poll, and we see that Biden was just ahead by 5 in a head-to-head matchup with a third-party candidate, so that's going to be putting that in the likely Democrat column for this video. Looking at the state of Virginia, this is an interesting one. Coming down here to the state of Virginia, the latest poll from the state is actually a Harris plus 7 sample. Oh no, it's Harris plus 8. We could see right here Harris at 51% to Trump's 43%. Again, another state where the polls are gonna oversample Democrats by quite a bit. We reweighed all this polling. Trump is up in my average because their samples are very, very left leaning. And so when you factor that in, yes, it's going to be a likely state on this map, but expect this state to be about a 2 to 3 point victory for Kamala Harris come election day. Looking at the state of North Carolina, this is another swing state that in the averages is pretty close. However, right now, we actually see that, again, a lot of the samples are very Democrat leaning, sometimes even more Democrats than Republicans, when the electorate here should really be R plus 6, R plus 7. The latest TIPPP poll from American Greatness does have a lean margin for Trump, about a 3-point margin. So we are going to be putting that in the lean Republican column. Georgia is another battleground state that Joe Biden won in the last presidential election. And we see that Donald Trump in the latest poll is tied with ActiVote. But since we don't really consider ActiVote a real pollster, we're going to go ahead and look at September 6th to the 9th. That is a lean margin for Donald Trump from Redfield and Wilton strategy. So that does put the state in the lean Republican column as well. Just to let you guys know, ActiVote is the only pollster we're generally ignoring because they have an app where you can download and just fill out a response, and they get these D plus 25, D plus 30 samples. It's not even a serious pollster, guys. That's why I'm ignoring it. And so when you look at the state of Florida, you'll go ahead and see that Donald Trump is still up here, by somewhat decent margin right now. He is currently up by 4.3% in the average. Again, a huge underestimation of him. That's really bad. The latest Redfield and Wilton poll does have him up by 6 points, but again, another big underestimation of his support in the state of Florida. That is going to be putting it in the likely Republican column. And going to the state of Pennsylvania, this is another key battleground that he needs to win the White House. And when we go to the state of Pennsylvania, the latest poll is even. And when we look at that previous poll with Morning Consult, it is a Harris +3 poll. And since we always look for the previous poll when looking at a tied poll at the top, it is going to be in the tilt Democrat column for Kamala Harris for this video. Now, again, the polling's gone back and forth, but I suspect that Trump's going to win the state by a few points on election day. So I wouldn't really be super worried about this. Unless she starts leading by 3 or 4 or 5 in the average, then it's like, okay, the state may be, within a point. But I think right now Donald Trump's on track to win the state by a decent amount. Looking at the state of Michigan, this is another key battleground that Donald Trump has to win in order to win the presidency. And looking at the latest Insider Advantage poll, Donald Trump is up in the state by a single percentage point. This puts the state in the lean Republican column. And he's getting very close to that 270 mark. He's coming very, very competitive right now. Looking at Wisconsin, this is another interesting one. Right now in the latest poll, Harris is up 2 in the latest Insider Advantage poll. So another lean margin. So for this video, Donald Trump's going to have to pick up Arizona or Nevada in order to win the presidential election for this polling video. Looking at a state like Minnesota, again, another interesting battleground. The latest poll is a Harris +7 poll from Redfield and Wilton. If you look at this a likely voter screen with a higher sample size, you do actually see that it's only Harris +4. I might go ahead and look at the reweighing of this because I believe it may show a pretty competitive race. And so it is going to be in the likely Republican column due to this Redfield and Wilton strategies poll here. And so we've already filled out the east side, only about 5 more states, including that Nebraska 2nd district left to fill out right now. Looking at Nebraska 2nd, this is going to be a competitive district. It's going to be pretty close either way. But looking at the latest poll, it is a likely state. But we do see that they have oversampled Democrats here quite a bit. So it is very possible that this is an overestimation of Kamala Harris. I have Trump winning the district by about 1 right now. Looking at Colorado, this is another fascinating, interesting tidbit. Morning Consult actually just put out a brand new poll with Harris up 15 points in the state of Colorado. So that's going to be completely in the safe Democrat column as of right now. I'm curious to see how left-leaning that poll is. It's probably oversampling Democrats by quite a bit. A lot of the polls we got out of Colorado were oversampling Democrats by a lot. And so right now that is in the safe Democrat column according to the latest poll. New Mexico, we actually find, if we actually go to the latest one, we'll go ahead and see right here that right now Harris is up 10 in the state in the latest research and polling poll from Albuquerque Journal. So it seems to be a local, pollster. And we see that it's a +10 margin. So again, the weighing of these samples are bad. Like the party IDs are in the 30s, independents are very high. In fact, the majority of the electorate tends to be party affiliated. There really isn't a lot of independents in New Mexico. And I suspect that this state's going to be way closer than people are thinking. I think a 2 to 3 point victory is on the horizon for Kamala Harris in that state. And now looking at Nevada and Arizona, he's going to have to pick one of these off in order to win the Electoral College in this video. And looking at the latest poll from Nevada, Donald Trump is up by a single percentage point in the latest Redfield and Wilton strategies poll. And that does actually narrowly put him above 270 Electoral College votes in this video. Looking at the state of Arizona, this is going to actually be a cool one. If we go over here to Arizona, we'll be able to see Donald Trump's up 2 points according to the latest Trafalgar Group poll, which does only have an R+1 sample, and the electorate's probably going to be R+6, R+7, R+8, somewhere in that range. So this is underestimating Donald Trump still, by the way, guys. So when you put this map together, Donald Trump is up with 283 Electoral College votes to Kamala Harris's 255 Electoral College votes. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.